Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I decided to spade the Ram 1 because usually when major updates come out I work from bottom to top, and the Ram 1 was a pretty low vehicle and it was quite easy to grind out, so I thought why not give it a go. And to be honest, it kind of disappointed and made me feel pretty inadequate in terms of the actual game. When it comes to the BR range that the Ram 1 is, there's been a lot of medium tanks that have been very dominant for the longest time. You have the Sherman, the starter Shermans that are there with the stabilized 75mm. They got the M61 buff and then just never really looked back. They've always been incredibly powerful around this BR range. There's also other vehicles that ended up basically getting pushed into this BR range because they were getting bullied by many others. You have stuff like the Panzer IVs, for example, the F2 nowadays being 3.3, which is just 0.3 BR above the Ram 1. You also have the T-34s, which have slowly been going up in BR, but generally they are at the same BR too. So you have all of these vehicles, which you're going to face pretty much full teams of, because as we've talked about before, one of the issues that War Thunder has is a lot of the player base, like the vast majority of the player base, only really plays America, Germany, and Russia. So you run into these meta mediums and just sat there and you're like, how do I actually face these things? And the way that you do it is you basically have to use your 2-pounder to pick off crew members and hope that you don't screw up any shots, because once you do, you are getting mauled by the 75s or the 76s. Now, the Ram 1 being at 3.0, I have no idea why it's at this BR. It should be lower. 2.7 is probably the best place to start with it. If we have a look at a lot of other vehicles for Britain, a lot of them have gone up in BR recently, and they really shouldn't have. The most recent one is the Valentine Mark 1, which is hilarious. That one is now at 2.7 with the 2-pounder. But everything else with the 2-pounder is below this BR, apart from the AC-1, which of course was the Operation Winter vehicle back in the day. And I'm guessing they thought that the Ram 1 would be similar to the AC-1. The AC-1 has weird and wonky armor pretty much all over it. The Ram 1 has weird and wonky armor, but it has very obvious weak spots, and since it faces these meta medium tanks, they can kind of just go through it and just hammer it. You're not really going to stop any rounds with it. Now, the thing that's crazy about the Ram 1 is if you're in a down tier though, your gun's great, and also at the same time your armor still isn't great, but it's better and will work okay. And the other thing is your mobility issues aren't as bad. But I still think it should go down in BR because of the issue with the actual 2-pounder itself and the amount of damage that, well, it basically doesn't do. The other parts of the vehicle, mobility-wise, it goes forward okay. It, once again, isn't as good as a lot of the meta vehicles you'll fight. The Chaffee is something that you'll see a lot at this BR nowadays. But it is, pretty good forward, and it doesn't really reverse. So it kind of has the Sherman syndrome, where you can get into battle, but you just can't get out. And that is a bit painful. So you have to fight on. You have to keep going with this 2-pounder because it's quite hard to reposition. Now, the 2-pounder has one advantage. It has a vertical gun stabilizer. This means against German and also Russian vehicles, you should be able to get the first shot off. Then, against Americans, you won't, because they also have vertical stabilizers and much larger guns. And because you are using a 2-pounder and you mainly use the APC-BC, which has 89mm of pen, what you have to do is use that to be able to plinky-plonk and annihilate these medium tanks while they can just look at you and one-shot you and you die. So you have to be strategic with the Ram 1. You have to go for the gunner. You then have to go for the driver, and then you have to, hit everything else. And that is okay, I suppose. But once again, if you compare it to other vehicles where all you have to do is just look at the enemy and make them go bonk, it's nowhere near as nice to play in terms of that. And this means that you end up with a lot of assists. It means also you end up with a lot of situations where you're just not having a great time, because once again, you look at the enemies, you shoot them, your round goes slightly off kilter or slightly in the wrong place, especially if you don't have adjustment of fire, or you just get RNG'd through the accuracy of the gun, and then they just look at you and shoot you anywhere, and you go pop. And yeah, it just isn't as fun of an experience. Gaijin is really valuing this 2-pounder way higher than I think it should be, mainly because they increased its penetration more recently, but it really shouldn't be at this BR of 3.0. There are too many targets that you just look at and you just can't do anything against. So I hope that they reconsider and put this thing down in BR. I think putting it at 2.7 would be completely fine, running it with the other Crusaders with the 2-pounder and then also with the Archer means that you have a vehicle which is a medium that you can run with it alongside stuff like the Grant. I would actually say the Grant at 2.7 is in a much better position than the Ram 1, which is at 3.0. They both have the same chassis. The Grant obviously has the 37mm for penetration and the 75 to do a lot of damage with. It's very odd seeing the Ram 1 at such a high BR when you compare it to a lot of the vehicles around it, even in the same tech tree, which in my opinion are better than it. So we ended up playing a few games in this thing, basically 5 battles to spade it. Didn't take a long time to spade, 60% win rate, 9 ground vehicles destroyed, 1 air vehicle destroyed and 5 deaths. It's basically going to be that, you know, it's going to be a middling vehicle, it's going to be fine, it's going to be okay, it just needs to go down in BR. So they definitely should do that. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.